Australia, a land where everything is trying to kill you. Forget lions, tigers and bears. Down under, we've got snakes that can drop an elephant, spiders chilling under your toilet seat, and birds that karate kick people into the afterlife. Oh, and if the land doesn't get you, the ocean definitely will. Because why wouldn't a tiny octopus be venomous enough to shut down your entire nervous system in minutes? But here's the real kicker. People actually live here.
And not just live, they thrive.
How do they survive the daily game of, is this thing going to kill me? That's what we're here to find out. From crocs lurking in backyards to sharks that enjoy a casual beach day snack, we'll dive into the craziest, deadliest, and most absurd wildlife stories Australia has to offer, and the even crazier ways humans deal with them. So buckle up, grab your snake-proof boots, and maybe don't touch anything, because this is Crazy Australia Wildlife. Welcome to the Crocs Kingdom. Imagine you're cooling off in a river on a hot day. The sun is shining, the water is calm, and everything feels perfect. Suddenly the water explodes. A 1,000-kilogram prehistoric beast bursts from below, jaws wide open, and before you even have time to think, you're part of the food chain. This is not a Hollywood movie. This is just another Tuesday in northern Australia. Meet the saltwater crocodile, the largest and most aggressive reptile on Earth. These scaly death machines have been patrolling Australia's waterways for over 200 million years, meaning they've been perfecting their hunting skills since before dinosaurs were even cool. And trust me, they've gotten very good at it. With a bite force of 3,700 psi, stronger than that of a T-Rex, once they clamp down, you're not getting out. Salties, as Australians like to call them, are not your average gator. They're strategic hunters, ultra-patient, and have a serious grudge against anything that moves. Whether it's a buffalo, a shark, or an unlucky human, if it steps near the water's edge, it's fair game. These beasts don't just live in rivers either. They can be found in estuaries, swamps, and even the open ocean. That's right. While you're enjoying a lovely beach holiday, one of these prehistoric nightmares might be out there, just waiting for you to take a dip. Now, if you're thinking, surely crocodile attacks must be rare, well, think again. Every year, there are dozens of crocodile attacks in Australia, with multiple fatalities. Unlike sharks, who tend to bite and let go, saltwater crocodiles don't believe in second chances. If they get hold of you, it's game over. Croc attacks are terrifying because they follow a perfectly calculated, tried and tested strategy. First, they lurk silently beneath the surface, using their invisible glassy eyes to track movement. Then they launch themselves out of the water at lightning speed, grabbing their victim with those bone-crushing jaws. But they don't just stop there. Oh no, they initiate the death roll. This move, which sounds like something out of a wrestling match, involves violently spinning their body to rip their prey apart. Not exactly the peaceful river dip you had in mind, right? The worst part? Crocodiles are smart. They learn patterns. If a person regularly fishes from the same riverbank or washes clothes in the same spot, a croc remembers. And one day when that person least expects it, snap! That's why Australians are obsessively careful around croc-infested waters, and why signs that say, "Warning crocodiles," are not to be ignored. One of the most famous cases occurred in 2016 when a woman was snatched in Queensland's Daintree National Park while wading knee-deep in the water at night. Her friend who was with her barely escaped, but authorities later confirmed the worst. She had been taken by a saltwater crocodile. Another horrifying incident happened in 2014 when a man jumped into a croc-infested river for fun during a party. Spoiler alert, it did not end well. But it's not just humans that are at risk. Livestock is constantly under siege too. Farmers in northern Australia lose cattle, horses and even dogs to these silent assassins. There have been cases where crocs have been found stalking watering holes, just waiting for an unlucky cow to take a drink. And once they strike, the poor animal never stands a chance. You might be wondering, why don't people just get rid of them? Well, here's the thing. Australia actually loves its crocs. While they are terrifying murder machines, they're also a crucial part of the ecosystem. Without them, certain fish and mammal populations would explode out of control, throwing nature into chaos. So instead of wiping them out, Australians have developed smart ways to reduce conflict while letting these prehistoric reptiles thrive. One of the biggest measures is crocodile management zones. These are specific areas where crocs are either left alone, relocated, or in extreme cases, removed if they're a serious threat to public safety. In places like Darwin and Cairns, where humans and crocs frequently cross paths, trained wildlife officers regularly patrol rivers and estuaries, catching and moving problem crocs before they can attack. Another key tool is education. Schools, tourist centers, and even TV campaigns drill the message into people's heads: stay away from the water. Many rivers and lakes have massive warning signs, often featuring pictures of actual crocodile attack victims, just in case people think it's a joke. Some regions have also installed croc-proof swimming enclosures, essentially floating cages in the ocean or rivers where people can swim safely without worrying about becoming dinner. However, the best way to avoid a croc attack is simple: don't go where they live. Of course, that's easier said than done. Northern Australia is a wet, wild, and unpredictable place, and sometimes humans and crocs just end up in the same spot. In those cases, it's all about staying alert and hoping the croc isn't hungry that day. Despite their reputation as terrifying killing machines, saltwater crocodiles are one of the greatest success stories in Australian conservation. Back in the 1970s, their populations were dangerously low due to hunting for their skins. But thanks to strict protection laws, their numbers have bounced back, perhaps a little too well. Today, some regions are seeing more crocs than ever, leading to debates about culling or better management strategies. Yet for all their danger, these creatures deserve respect. They're one of the last remaining links to the age of dinosaurs, a perfectly designed predator that has survived mass extinctions, climate shifts, and even human interference. So, while they might make Northern Australia a living horror movie, they also make it unique. There's no other country where a casual fishing trip could turn into a battle for survival against a 6-meter reptile. And let's be honest, that's part of the thrill. At the end of the day, the best advice for dealing with saltwater crocodiles is simple: respect them. Stay out of their territory. And if you see one, run fast. Because in the end, it's still their kingdom. We're just visitors in it. Welcome to the most painful experience on Earth. Imagine you're in the crystal clear waters of Northern Australia, enjoying the warm embrace of the ocean. The sun is shining, the waves are gently rolling, and everything feels perfect. But then, a sudden searing pain rips through your body like a bolt of electricity. Your muscles seize. Your skin feels like it's been set on fire. Your heart is pounding erratically. Panic sets in. You try to move, but your limbs aren't responding. Your vision blurs, and within minutes you collapse, unable to breathe. This isn't an allergic reaction. This isn't a freak accident. This is a box jellyfish sting. One of the most excruciatingly painful and deadly experiences a human can endure. And the worst part, you never even saw it coming. The Australian box jellyfish is not just any jellyfish. It is the undisputed king of ocean killers. Forget sharks, forget stingrays, forget octopuses. This thing is responsible for more deaths in Australia than any other marine creature. Unlike most jellyfish, which just drift aimlessly in the water like floating snot balloons, box jellyfish are active hunters. They don't wait for prey to bump into them. They chase it down. With up to 15 tentacles, each stretching 3 meters long, and 5,000 venom-injecting cells per tentacle, this thing is basically a floating death trap. The venom? Oh, it's next level nasty. It's designed to instantly paralyze prey, shut down the heart, and cause excruciating agony. And the worst part? It works on humans really well. Within seconds of being stung, the pain is so unbearable that victims often go into shock and drown before they can even reach the shore. Those who do make it out alive describe the experience as worse than being burned alive. Their skin, covered in whip-like purple scars, can remain blistered and damaged for weeks. And in extreme cases, the venom can kill within just 2 to 5 minutes. Oh, and here's the cherry on top. Box jellyfish are almost invisible in the water. Their bodies are translucent, blending perfectly with their surroundings. So by the time you realize one is near, it's already too late. If you think Australia is famous for its beach culture, you'd be right. But in certain parts of the country, people avoid the ocean like it's filled with lava. From October to May, the waters of Northern Australia become a box jellyfish war zone. During this time, also known as stinger season, swimming outside of designated safe zones is basically like playing Russian roulette with the world's most painful bullet. Tourists who ignore the no swimming deadly jellyfish signs often get an unfortunate biology lesson the hard way. Every year, dozens of people are stung, and while most survive thanks to quick medical intervention, some don't make it. One of the most infamous cases happened in 2002, when a 17-year-old boy from Queensland was stung while swimming off the coast. Despite being pulled from the water almost immediately, he was dead within minutes. Another tragic incident occurred in 2021, when a young child in the Northern Territory was killed in a similar way. And it's not just humans that are affected. Fishermen report seeing entire schools of fish paralyzed and killed within seconds of coming into contact with a box jellyfish's tentacles. These things are oceanic executioners, wiping out anything that gets too close. So how does Australia deal with the world's most unseeable killer? Well, it turns out humans have gotten pretty creative when it comes to fighting jellyfish. First, stinger nets. Since telling people just don't swim isn't exactly great for tourism, many popular beaches in Queensland and the Northern Territory have stinger nets, giant mesh barriers that act like underwater fences, keeping jellyfish, mostly, out of designated swimming areas. Second, vinegar stations. Scattered across every stinger-prone beach, you'll find bright yellow vinegar bottles attached to posts. That's because vinegar is the only thing that stops box jellyfish tentacles from firing more venom. If someone gets stung, pouring vinegar all over the affected area immediately can prevent further envenomation. And no, peeing on it does not help. Sorry, friends, lied to you. Third, lycra stinger suits. If you've ever wondered why some Australian swimmers look like they're cosplaying as Power Rangers, it's because they're wearing stinger-proof lycra suits. These full-body suits are jellyfish-proof armor, covering the skin completely to prevent tentacles from making contact. Bonus, they also protect against the sun, sharp coral and sharks. Basically, if you're not wearing one in northern Australia, you're doing it wrong. Scientists are also working on jellyfish detection systems, which use underwater cameras and AI to monitor jellyfish movements and alert beachgoers in real time. Some researchers are even trying to develop anti-venoms and pain blockers, but so far, the box jellyfish remains undefeated. If you're thinking, well, at least they stay in the ocean, right? Bad news. There have been reports of box jellyfish appearing in rivers, estuaries, and even near freshwater lakes. That's right. They don't just stick to the sea. They follow currents, drift into new environments, and sometimes end up in places they're not supposed to be. And with rising ocean temperatures, scientists warn that box jellyfish are becoming more widespread. They're showing up in areas they never used to be, and in greater numbers than ever before. The scary truth is there is no stopping them. These creatures don't have brains, don't have a heart, and don't have any natural predators. They are pure survival machines that have existed for at least 500 million years, longer than any other known venomous animal. Humans may have conquered land, but in the waters of northern Australia, the box jellyfish reigns supreme. If you enter its domain, you play by its rules. And those rules are simple. Don't touch the water. If you do touch the water, wear a stinger suit. If you get stung, hope someone nearby has vinegar. If you see a floating transparent shape in the water, it's already too late, because in the ocean, the deadliest predator isn't the one with teeth. It's the one you never see coming. The snake that can kill 100 people with one bite. Australia is famous for its insanely deadly creatures, but when it comes to venomous snakes, one serpent rules them all, the inland taipan, also known as the fierce snake. And trust me, that name isn't just for show. This isn't your average backyard garden snake. No, the inland taipan is a walking biochemical weapon. With venom so powerful it can kill 100 fully grown humans or 250,000 mice with a single bite, this scaly assassin makes cobras, rattlesnakes, and even Australia's own eastern brown snake look like amateurs. But here's the real kicker. Despite being the most venomous snake on Earth, almost nobody has ever been killed by it. Why? Because unlike other aggressive Australian snakes, the inland taipan doesn't want anything to do with you. That's right. The world's most dangerous snake is also the least likely to bite you. But before you start thinking it's your friendly neighborhood reptile, let's take a closer look at why this snake is a nightmare in fangs and why it's still one of the most feared creatures in Australia. What makes the inland taipan so terrifying? Well, let's break it down. The venom that melts you from the inside out. The venom of the inland taipan isn't just strong, it's next-level horrific. It contains a lethal cocktail of neurotoxins, hemotoxins, and myotoxins, which together create the worst possible way to die. Neurotoxins shut down your nervous system, causing paralysis and stopping your breathing. Hemotoxins destroy blood cells, turning your blood into a non-functioning sludge. Myotoxins dissolve your muscles, literally melting your body from the inside out. If you get bitten and don't receive immediate medical attention, your chances of survival are about 0. And unlike other snakes that sometimes dry bite without injecting venom, the inland taipan always delivers a full dose. Because why waste time? The fastest striker in the snake world. This snake doesn't play games. If it feels threatened, it doesn't hiss, it doesn't rattle, it just strikes. And when it does, it doesn't stop at one bite. It can strike up to 10 times in a single attack, injecting lethal venom every single time. Unlike other snakes that bite and retreat, the inland taipan bites, holds on, and keeps injecting venom, making sure its victim is well and truly doomed. The ultimate heat seeker. This snake is so well adapted to hunting that it can actually sense heat changes. That means it can detect warm-blooded prey even in complete darkness. Once it finds a target, usually a rat or small mammal, it launches its insanely fast strike, bites multiple times, and then slithers back to watch its prey die within minutes. No struggle, no chase, just precision execution. The good news? The inland taipan doesn't live anywhere near big cities or beaches. The bad news? It's found in some of the most remote, dry, and unforgiving places in Australia. This snake is native to the deserts of Central Australia, particularly around the Queensland-South Australia border. It thrives in cracked clay plains, where it can disappear into burrows and crevices to escape the extreme desert heat. Basically, unless you're an outback explorer, a herpetologist, or a very unlucky farmer, your chances of running into one of these snakes are next to none. But if you do stumble across one, back away slowly and hope it's in a good mood. Here's the weirdest part about the inland taipan. Despite being the most venomous snake in the world, it almost never bites humans. This snake is a complete introvert. Unlike the eastern brown snake, which loves picking fights with anything that moves, the inland taipan is shy, reclusive, and avoids confrontation at all costs. The only people who regularly come into contact with them are snake experts and researchers, and even they will tell you, this snake does not want to be bothered. If disturbed, it will try to flee rather than fight, making it one of the least aggressive venomous snakes in Australia. So why is it called the fierce snake if it's so chill? Well, fierce doesn't refer to its attitude. It refers to the sheer deadliness of its venom. What happens if you get bitten? Okay, let's say you're incredibly unlucky, or incredibly stupid, and somehow manage to get bitten by an inland taipan. What happens next? Within minutes, your muscles begin to seize. Your breathing becomes difficult, then impossible. Your internal organs start shutting down. Your blood thickens to the point where your heart can't pump it anymore. If you don't get anti-venom immediately, you will die fast. Luckily, there is an anti-venom, developed specifically for inland taipan bites. But here's the catch. You have to get to a hospital quickly. And considering these snakes live in some of the most isolated places on the continent, that's easier said than done. Despite its horrifying venom, nobody is calling for the inland taipan to be wiped out. In fact, Australians are weirdly proud of it. Having the world's most venomous snake is basically just another badge of honor for this already dangerous country. Scientists and snake handlers actually love the inland taipan because its venom is incredibly useful for medical research. Components of its venom are being studied to develop new painkillers, blood pressure treatments, and even clotting agents for surgeries. Additionally, because this snake is so reclusive, it's not considered a major threat to humans. Conservationists actively protect it, and killing one is illegal in Australia. The best way Australians handle the inland taipan: they let it do its thing. Nobody in their right mind goes looking for one, and those who do are usually professionals who know what they're doing. The inland taipan might be the deadliest snake on Earth, but at the end of the day, it's not a villain. It's just really, really good at what it does. It doesn't chase people, it doesn't pick fights, and it isn't interested in human drama. So, while it could kill you faster than any other snake in existence, the reality is, it probably won't. As long as humans stay out of its way, it remains one of the most mysterious, elusive, and fascinating creatures of the Australian outback. But if you do ever find yourself in inland taipan territory, just remember, if you see one, don't panic, just slowly back away, and hope it's feeling introverted today. When birds go full dinosaur. Imagine a bird so terrifying, so aggressive, and so powerful that it's officially ranked as the most dangerous bird in the world. No, we're not talking about eagles, hawks, or vultures. We're talking about the cassowary, a 6-foot-tall, 75-kilogram feathered tank that looks like a prehistoric velociraptor and fights like one too. This isn't just some big, goofy bird. Cassowaries have killed people. They have knocked down full-grown men, disemboweled dogs, and sent cocky tourists to the hospital. They are fast, territorial, unpredictable, and equipped with a weapon so deadly it makes every other bird look like a joke. But how did Australia's most dangerous bird earn its brutal reputation? And why do some Australians still dare to live alongside them? Let's dive into the wild world of the cassowary, a bird you definitely don't want to mess with. The southern cassowary, Cassurius casuarius, is a massive flightless bird that roams the dense rainforests of northern Queensland, Papua New Guinea, and nearby islands. And when I say massive, I mean this thing is basically a velociraptor in disguise. Here's what makes it absolutely terrifying. It's one of the heaviest birds on the planet, second only to the ostrich. It can run up to 50 km/h, 31 mph, meaning if it wants to chase you, it will catch you. It can jump over 2 meters, 6.5 feet high, so good luck escaping by climbing something. It can swim across rivers and even out to sea, so don't think you can just outswim it. It has a dagger-like claw on each foot, up to 12 cm, 5 inches long. Basically a built-in switchblade that can slice through flesh and bone. It will fight you. Unlike most birds that fly away from danger, cassowaries will stand their ground, puff up their feathers, and charge. Oh, and let's not forget the helmet-like casque on its head, which makes it look even more like a dinosaur. Scientists aren't 100% sure what this bony structure is for, but they believe it helps cassowaries push through dense rainforests like living battering rams. For thousands of years, cassowaries have been known as powerful and unpredictable birds. Indigenous tribes in Papua New Guinea respect and fear them, often using their bones for weapons and their eggs for food. But in modern Australia, well, cassowaries and humans have been clashing more than ever. Cassowary attacks happen every single year, and while most result in cuts, bruises, and a very bad day, some have ended in death. One of the most famous cases occurred in 1926 when a 16-year-old boy was fatally attacked after trying to club a cassowary. The bird kicked him in the neck, slicing his throat open with its razor-sharp claw. It was one of the few documented cassowary killings in modern history. But attacks still happen today. In 2019, a 75-year-old man in Florida, who kept cassowaries as pets, because why not, was killed when he fell in their enclosure, and one of his birds attacked him. Even though he was an experienced bird keeper, he didn't stand a chance. Tourists are also frequently injured when they get too close, trying to take selfies or feed wild cassowaries. What starts as a fun vacation quickly turns into a frantic sprint for survival, because once a cassowary decides you're a threat, it doesn't back down. Despite their deadly reputation, cassowaries aren't actually bloodthirsty monsters. They're just really bad at living alongside humans. In the past few decades, deforestation has destroyed much of their rainforest habitat, forcing cassowaries to wander into towns, backyards, and roads. Since they naturally eat fruit, they often stumble into residential areas looking for food. And once they associate humans with easy meals, things get dangerous. People, especially tourists, love feeding cassowaries. But the moment these birds get too comfortable around humans, they start seeing people as either food dispensers or rivals. That's when the chasing, kicking, and attacking starts. In some areas, cassowaries have even been spotted smashing windows, charging at cars, and kicking down fences. And considering their strength and speed, stopping them isn't exactly easy. But while some Australians want cassowaries removed, others believe they should be protected, because, believe it or not, these terrifying birds are actually critically important to the ecosystem. Despite their murderous tendencies, cassowaries play a vital role in keeping Australia's rainforests alive. How? They're nature's ultimate seed spreaders. Cassowaries eat over 150 different types of rainforest fruit, many of which have seeds that can't sprout unless they've passed through a cassowary's digestive system. That means without cassowaries, entire rainforests could collapse because certain trees and plants wouldn't be able to reproduce. In fact, some scientists call cassowaries the gardeners of the rainforest, which is ironic, considering they're also the bouncers of the rainforest, violently kicking anyone who gets too close. Since cassowaries aren't going anywhere, Australians have come up with some creative ways to live alongside them without getting drop-kicked into the afterlife. First, cassowary warning signs. In cassowary-heavy areas, you'll find big yellow warning signs telling you to avoid feeding them, keep your distance, and prepare to run if needed. Second, cassowary crossing. Road signs. Cassowaries have no concept of road safety, so there are now dedicated cassowary crossings in certain areas, warning drivers to slow down and not hit a bird that can destroy a windshield. Third one, cassowary-proof trash bins. Since cassowaries love rummaging for food, specially designed bins are used in certain towns to prevent them from getting too comfortable around humans. And last, rescue programs. Some organizations rescue and rehabilitate injured cassowaries, usually hit by cars or orphaned as chicks. But let's be honest, handling an injured cassowary is a terrifying job. At the end of the day, cassowaries aren't evil. They're just giant, territorial, and ridiculously well armed. They don't actively hunt humans, but if you step into their space, feed them, or make them feel threatened, they will remind you who's boss.
So if you ever find yourself in cassery country, just remember, keep your distance. Don't feed them.
Don't try to outrun them, you won't win. If it fluffs its feathers and starts charging, pray to whatever god you believe in. Because when Australia's most dangerous bird decides to fight, the only thing you can do is hope it's having a lazy day. Meet Australia's eight-legged horror show. Picture this. You're reaching into your shoe one morning, not suspecting a thing, when suddenly a dark, fast-moving shadow darts across your fingers. You jerk back just in time to see it. A large, black and seriously angry spider, fangs dripping with venom, ready to attack. Congratulations, mate. You've just met the funnel web spider, one of the most aggressive and venomous spiders on the planet. While most spiders prefer to avoid humans, funnel webs don't believe in running away. No, these little psychopaths will stand their ground, rear up on their hind legs, and strike repeatedly with their massive fangs, which, by the way, are sharp enough to pierce through fingernails. And the venom? Oh, it's nightmare fuel. A single bite from a male Sydney funnel web spider can send a full-grown human into convulsions, paralysis, and eventually death, unless treated immediately. But wait, it gets worse. Funnel web spiders love to live in people's homes. They seek out cool, dark, and damp places, which means they frequently end up in shoes, clothing, and even swimming pools. Imagine going for a nice, refreshing swim, only to find one of these eight-legged horrors clinging to your arm. This spider doesn't just kill you, it wants you to suffer first. Why its venom is so deadly? Most spiders inject venom to paralyze insects, but the funnel web's venom seems suspiciously designed to kill humans. Scientists still don't fully understand why, but what they do know is this. The venom attacks the nervous system by shutting down key signals to the brain. Within minutes, the victim experiences intense pain, sweating, muscle spasms, and breathing difficulties. If left untreated, the venom causes full-body convulsions, paralysis, and eventually death by suffocation. And here's the real kicker. Funnel web venom doesn't affect most animals. Dogs, cats, and even rabbits can be bitten with no serious effects. But humans, we're done for. It's almost as if funnel webs were specifically designed to torment us. How scientists turned venom into a life-saving antidote. Before 1981, a funnel web bite was basically a death sentence. But thanks to some brilliant Australian scientists, the world now has a highly effective antivenom that has saved hundreds of lives. Here's how it works. Scientists milk the venom from live funnel web spiders, which is about as terrifying as it sounds. The venom is then used to create antibodies in animals like rabbits and horses. These antibodies are purified and turned into life-saving antivenom that can be injected into bite victims. If given in time, the antivenom completely neutralizes the effects of the venom, preventing death. Since its introduction, no one has died from a funnel web bite in Australia, which is impressive considering these spiders still bite people every year. So while funnel web spiders remain one of the deadliest creatures in Australia, at least now, we have a fighting chance. The most beautiful way to die. The ocean is full of creatures that want to kill you, but few do it as elegantly as the blue-ringed octopus. At first glance, this tiny golf ball-sized octopus looks adorable. It moves gracefully, changes colors like a living piece of art, and seems totally harmless. But when threatened, this little ocean assassin flashes electric blue rings across its body, a glowing warning sign that you are seconds away from death. And if you don't back off, well, you're about to experience total paralysis, suffocation, and a very bad day. The blue-ringed octopus doesn't have sharp teeth or powerful tentacles. It doesn't need them. Instead, it delivers one of the most potent neurotoxins on Earth, tetrodotoxin, the same poison found in pufferfish. Here's how it kills. A single bite injects enough venom to kill 26 adult humans. The venom blocks nerve signals, causing instant numbness and paralysis. Victims remain fully conscious but lose the ability to move, speak, or breathe. If medical help doesn't arrive in time, death by suffocation follows within minutes. And the worst part, there is no antidote. Once the venom is in your system, all doctors can do is keep you on a ventilator and hope your body fights it off. Despite its deadly venom, the blue-ringed octopus is tiny and easy to miss. Many people don't even realize they've been bitten until they suddenly can't breathe. Tourists, in particular, are the ones most at risk. Since the octopus likes to hide in tide pools, unsuspecting beachgoers often pick them up, thinking they're harmless.
Spoiler alert, they are not.
Because of this, Australian beaches have huge warning signs about not touching small, colorful sea creatures. But of course, some people ignore the warnings, and every year someone ends up in the hospital, paralyzed, regretting their life choices. How Australians deal with this tiny nightmare? Unlike sharks, crocs and jellyfish, there's no way to control the blue-ringed octopus population. They're just there, hiding in shells, rocks and tide pools, waiting for some poor fool to mess with them. But here's how Australians manage the risk. Lifeguards regularly check rock pools for blue-ringed octopuses and warn swimmers. Marine biologists track population movements to know when they are most active. Hospitals near the coast are trained to handle bites, ventilators ready just in case. Public awareness campaigns teach people, if it glows, let it go. The blue-ringed octopus is proof that size doesn't matter when it comes to killing power. Despite being small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, it carries enough venom to wipe out an entire family. So if you're ever exploring Australia's beaches, just remember, don't touch tiny sea creatures. If something flashes blue, back away immediately. If you do get bitten, get to a hospital fast. Because when it comes to Australia's deadliest animals, sometimes the smallest ones are the most dangerous. The ocean's greatest undercover assassin. Imagine you're wading through the warm, shallow waters of an Australian beach, enjoying the sunshine and the feeling of soft sand beneath your feet. Life is good. Then, out of nowhere, a pain so excruciating it feels like your foot has been set on fire and smashed with a hammer at the same time. You collapse into the water, unable to move, as the agony spreads up your leg like liquid lightning. Congratulations, you've just stepped on a stonefish, the most venomous fish in the world and quite possibly one of nature's most evil creations. But you didn't even see it, did you? That's because stonefish are masters of disguise, blending in perfectly with rocks, coral, and seabeds. They don't chase prey, they don't move much, they don't attack people. They just sit there, waiting, until some unlucky soul steps directly onto their venom-loaded spines. The stonefish is proof that the ocean is out to get you. And in Australia, it's responsible for some of the most painful injuries in marine history. A lot of venomous creatures use their toxins to kill prey. But the stonefish? Oh no, this thing doesn't just kill, it makes sure you suffer first. The venom is delivered through 13 razor-sharp spines that are embedded along the fish's back. Each spine is connected to a venom gland, and when pressure is applied, like say from a human foot stepping on it, the gland releases a potent neurotoxin directly into the wound. Here's what happens next. Instant blinding pain radiates through your entire body. Tissue around the wound starts to rot due to necrotic properties in the venom. Paralysis begins to set in, making it impossible to move. Victims experience difficulty breathing as the venom attacks their nervous system. If untreated, the venom can cause heart failure and death. But even if you survive, the pain lingers for days. Some victims report agony so intense they beg to have their leg amputated. That's how bad it is. And what's even worse, stonefish can survive out of water for up to 24 hours. So even if it's lying in a shallow tide pool or on the shore, it's still fully capable of ruining your day. Stonefish don't attack people, but that's because they don't have to. They're so well camouflaged that you'll never know they're there until it's too late. So, how do Australians deal with this hidden horror of the sea? Shuffle, don't step. If you're walking through shallow water, never step directly down. Instead, shuffle your feet along the sand. This helps you gently nudge any stonefish out of the way before it has a chance to stab you. Wear reef shoes. Thick-soled reef shoes can lessen the impact if you step on one. But let's be real. If you put your full weight on a stonefish, even shoes won't save you. Stick to designated swimming areas. Beaches with clear, sandy bottoms are generally safer than rocky, coral-heavy waters. If you're in northern Australia where stonefish love to lurk, always check with lifeguards before getting in the water. Learn what they look like. It's easier said than done, but learning to identify stonefish can save your life. If a rock has weird beady eyes and a grumpy expression, don't touch it. So let's say you ignored all the warnings and stepped on a stonefish. Now what? Here's what you need to do immediately. Get out of the water. You don't want to drown while screaming in pain. Pour scalding hot water over the wound. This denatures the venom and helps dull the pain. The hotter, the better, though don't burn yourself in the process. Seek emergency medical help ASAP. Stonefish stings require professional treatment, fast. Get the antivenom. Australia actually has a stonefish antivenom, but it's only used in severe cases. Brace yourself. Even with treatment, the pain will stick around for hours, sometimes days. Unlike jellyfish or snake bites, stonefish venom doesn't spread quickly, but that doesn't mean you're safe. If left untreated, the venom can cause tissue necrosis, heart failure, and even death. For all their painful tendencies, stonefish actually play a crucial role in the ecosystem.
They help control populations of small fish and crustaceans, preventing overpopulation in reefs. Also, believe it or not, their venom is being studied for medical breakthroughs. Scientists are investigating how components of the toxin could be used in pain management drugs and cardiovascular treatments. That being said, most Australians wouldn't mind if stonefish just disappeared. The stonefish is proof that nature has a twisted sense of humor. It's small, ugly, doesn't move much, and yet it's capable of delivering some of the most agonizing pain known to mankind. So, if you ever find yourself wandering through Australian waters, just remember, shuffle your feet, don't step blindly. Wear protective footwear. If something looks like a rock, assume it wants to kill you. If you get stung, seek help immediately. Because in the land of Australia's deadly creatures, even the ones that don't move can still ruin your life. Jaws got it all wrong. Let's get one thing straight. The great white shark is not a mindless, man-eating monster that spends its days plotting ways to snack on unsuspecting swimmers. But let's also be real. If you look like food, act like food, and swim like food, well, don't be surprised if a 6-meter-long apex predator takes a curious bite. The great white shark is the most feared creature in the ocean, and thanks to Hollywood, we're looking at you, Jaws, it's been unfairly demonized for decades. But how much of the fear is actually justified? Are great whites truly the terror of the deep, or are humans just bad at sharing the ocean? Let's dive into the truth about Australia's most infamous apex predator, and why, despite their reputation, humans are the real threat to sharks. The great white shark is a living fossil, having roamed Earth's oceans for over 400 million years. That means it was hunting prey before dinosaurs even existed. Here's why it's considered the ultimate predator. Massive size. Growing up to 6 meters, 20 feet long, and weighing over 2,000 kilos, 4,400 pounds, the great white is basically a torpedo with teeth. Insane speed. It can hit speeds of 56 km/h, 35 mph in short bursts, meaning outrunning one is not an option. The bite force of nightmares. With over 300 serrated teeth and a bite force of 4,000 psi, it has the strongest bite of any living creature. Sixth sense. Thanks to electroreceptors in its snout, a great white can detect the heartbeat of prey from meters away. Attack from below strategy. Ever wonder why great whites launch themselves out of the water? That's called breaching, and it's how they ambush prey from below before the victim even knows what hit them. In other words, this is not a fish you want to mess with. Do great white sharks actually hunt humans? Short answer? No. Long answer? It's complicated. Despite their fearsome reputation, great whites don't see humans as prey. If they did, we'd have thousands of attacks per year, not just a handful. Most shark attacks are cases of mistaken identity. Here's what usually happens. A surfer, swimmer, or diver is floating on the surface, looking suspiciously like a seal, sea turtle, or distressed fish. The shark, using its test bite method, takes a single exploratory chomp to see if the thing is edible. The second it realizes you too bony, not enough blubber, it lets go and swims off. The problem? A test bite from a great white is still enough to remove limbs. Most victims don't die from being eaten. They die from blood loss before rescuers can get them to shore. Here's where people start freaking out. Australia is home to the most fatal shark attacks in the world, with dozens of incidents reported every year. But let's put that into perspective. Your chances of being killed by a shark in Australia, 1 in 3.7 million. Your chances of dying from a vending machine accident, 1 in 112 million. Your chances of being struck by lightning, way higher than a shark attack. That being said, shark attacks do happen, and when they do, they're violent, fast, and often fatal. But despite what Jaws would have you believe, sharks don't actively hunt humans. For decades, shark culling was the go-to solution. Governments placed shark nets and drum lines along popular beaches, killing thousands of sharks, including great whites, tiger sharks, and bull sharks. But here's the issue. Shark nets don't just catch sharks. They also trap dolphins, turtles, and harmless marine life. Killing sharks doesn't stop attacks. In some cases, it actually disrupts the ecosystem, making the problem worse. So instead of just massacring the ocean's top predators, scientists and conservationists have come up with better, non-lethal solutions. Shark-detecting drones. Beaches are now using AI-powered drones that can spot sharks from above the water in real time. If a great white is lurking nearby, lifeguards warn swimmers immediately. Smart drumlines. Instead of killing sharks, modern drumlines capture, tag, and relocate great whites away from populated beaches. Personal shark deterrents, surfers and divers can now wear electronic shark repelling devices that emit electromagnetic fields, messing with the shark's senses and keeping them away. Shark education campaigns. Australia is educating the public on how to reduce their risk of being attacked, including avoid swimming at dawn or dusk. Sharks are most active then.
Stay out of the water if you're bleeding, because duh.
Don't swim near large schools of fish. If sharks are hunting, you don't want to be in the middle of it. Here's the thing. Sharks aren't just important, they're essential. Without great whites, the entire ocean ecosystem collapses. They keep fish populations balanced, prevent disease from spreading, and regulate marine life in ways we don't fully understand yet. But thanks to overfishing, climate change and habitat destruction, great white numbers are dropping fast. They are now classified as vulnerable, meaning they are at risk of extinction. So while humans still fear sharks, the reality is we're the ones driving them toward extinction. Should you be aware of great white sharks? Absolutely. Should you be terrified to go into the ocean? Not really. As long as you respect the water, follow safety advice, and avoid making yourself look like a dying seal, your chances of being attacked are almost non-existent. At the end of the day, great whites aren't villains. They're apex predators trying to survive in a world where humans are taking over. So, if you ever find yourself face to face with a great white, just remember, it's probably just curious, not hungry. Stay calm, don't splash, and back away slowly. Most attacks are accidental, just very unfortunate. We need them more than they need us. Because despite their fearsome reputation, great white sharks are more at risk from humans than we are from them. And if we're not careful, the ocean's greatest predator might not be around much longer. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You've survived saltwater crocodiles, sharks, deadly jellyfish, and the most venomous snake on Earth. But don't get too comfortable, because Australia's deadliest creatures don't just live in remote jungles or deep oceans. No, some of them live in your backyard. Some of them crawl into your shoes. Some of them drop out of trees to bite your neck. And some? Some of them just wait until you go for a casual swim before deciding you'd make a great snack. This is the final gauntlet. The last, horrifying list of creatures that make Australia the deadliest country on Earth. The cone snail, the beautiful but deadly assassin. Ever picked up a pretty seashell at the beach? Well, in Australia, that seashell might kill you. Meet the cone snail, a small but ridiculously venomous predator. Its shell is beautiful, its colors are mesmerizing, and its venom can shut down your entire body in minutes. Unlike snakes or spiders, cone snails don't need to move fast. Instead, they have a harpoon-like tooth that shoots out like a spear, injecting a venom so powerful it's known as the cigarette of the sea. Because after getting stung, you'd barely have time to finish one before your body shuts down. The good news: scientists are now studying cone snail venom as a potential painkiller stronger than morphine. The bad news: there's no antidote. So, if you get stung, your best bet is to hope your lungs don't stop working before you reach the hospital. The redback spider, Australia's black widow. Most spiders avoid humans, not the redback. These tiny terrors love living in backyards, sheds, mailboxes, and even under toilet seats. Yes, you read that correctly. The redback spider is closely related to the infamous black widow, and its venom causes excruciating pain, nausea, and paralysis. The worst part? They're everywhere. Fortunately, Australia developed an antivenom in 1956, which has saved countless lives. But even today, hundreds of people are bitten every year, usually because they weren't checking before sitting down. The eastern brown snake, Australia's silent killer. If there's one creature responsible for the most snake-related deaths in Australia, it's not the inland taipan, it's the eastern brown snake. Why? Because it lives everywhere. Unlike the shy taipan, brown snakes don't mind cities. They slither into backyards, parks, even inside houses. If cornered, they become aggressive fast. And with a venom that causes rapid paralysis and heart failure, even a small bite can kill within minutes. The good news: there's an antivenom. The bad news: if you're bitten and can't get to a hospital in time, you're done for. The tiger snake, a deadly swimmer in your backyard. Think you're safe from snakes in the water? Think again. The tiger snake doesn't just live near water, it thrives in it. These venomous nightmares love swimming in backyard pools, creeks, and even flooded streets. And just like the eastern brown, a bite from a tiger snake is serious business. Their venom causes paralysis, internal bleeding, and death if not treated quickly. Thankfully, snake relocation programs are helping move these killers away from urban areas. But let's be honest, they'll always come back. The death adder, the ambush king. If you step on a death adder, it's already too late. Unlike other snakes that slither away, the death adder stays completely still, perfectly camouflaged in leaf litter. And when something gets too close, it strikes faster than you can blink. Its venom shuts down the nervous system, leading to total paralysis. Without treatment, victims die of respiratory failure in a matter of hours. Luckily, rural hospitals in Australia stock anti-venom, but if you're bitten out in the wild, good luck getting there in time. The giant centipede, a venomous, fast-moving horror show. You know what's worse than a centipede? A giant, venomous, lightning-fast centipede. Australia's giant centipede is over 20 centimeters long, moves faster than you'd ever want a bug to move, and has a venomous bite that feels like you've been stabbed with burning needles. It's not fatal, but victims report excruciating pain, swelling, and uncontrollable muscle spasms. They crawl into beds, shoes, and clothing, meaning you'll never truly be safe. Australians deal with them the only way they can, by throwing a shoe at them and running in the opposite direction. The magpie, the aerial menace. It's just a bird, right? Wrong. Every spring, Australia descends into absolute chaos as magpies enter breeding season and start attacking everything in sight. Cyclists, pedestrians, kids, even pets, no one is safe. These little psychopaths will dive bomb your head, peck at your eyes, and chase you for blocks. How do people survive? Bike helmets with zip ties sticking out. Fake eyes painted on hats. Running for their lives. Welcome to magpie season, Australia's most humiliating war zone. The bull shark, the river predator. Sharks in the ocean are terrifying enough. But what if I told you they also live in rivers and lakes? Meet the bull shark. A shark so aggressive and adaptable that it swims thousands of kilometers inland into rivers, lakes, and even flooded streets. It's one of the few sharks that actively hunts in fresh water. And yes, it has attacked people in places where sharks absolutely should not be. Lifeguards now track their movements, but let's be honest, if a shark wants to live in a river, no one's going to stop it. The paralysis tick, a tiny creature with a deadly bite. They're tiny. They're easy to miss, and they can paralyze you. The paralysis tick injects a neurotoxin that slowly shuts down the body, starting with muscle weakness and leading to total paralysis. Pets, in particular, are at huge risk, with many dogs dying before owners even realize what's wrong. Tick awareness programs are now in place, but let's be honest, if one latches onto you, you probably won't notice until it's too late. Congratulations, you've survived the Australian nightmare. You've dodged sharks, crocs, snakes, spiders, birds, centipedes, and even snails that want to kill you. But here's the real kicker. Millions of Australians live here every day completely unbothered. Because at the end of the day, yes, Australia is dangerous, but it's also one of the most beautiful, diverse, and breathtaking places on Earth. So if you ever visit, just remember, check your shoes for spiders. Don't swim in random rivers. If a bird looks at you funny, run. And most importantly, never assume a rock is just a rock, because in Australia, it's probably trying to kill you.